The night is silent, but the screams still echo. A pregnant woman stumbles through her living room as chaos erupts behind her. Her white nightgown is soaked in blood. She begs, she pleads, but no one listens. On a wall nearby, the word pig is smeared in her own blood. It is August 9th, 1969. In one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Los Angeles, unimaginable brutality has just taken place. 4 bodies lie motionless at 10,050 Cielo Drive. The city will never be the same again. And as investigators search for answers, one name will soon terrify an entire nation. Charles Manson. Charles Miles Manson was not always a name dripping with dread. Born in 1934 in Cincinnati, Manson's life was steeped in abandonment, neglect, and crime from the beginning. His mother, an alcoholic, was in and out of jail. By age 13, Manson had already escaped juvenile detention several times. He spent most of his early life in reformatories and prisons. It was during one of these stretches, in the late 1950s, that Manson found something that would change him. Music, psychology, and most dangerously, influence. In 1967, after being released from prison, he arrived in San Francisco at the height of the counterculture era. Hippies, free love, anti-establishment. This was the perfect storm. Manson saw an opportunity. With a mix of charisma, LSD, biblical verses, and apocalyptic rhetoric, Manson began convincing young, lost souls that he was Christ reincarnated. That a race war, helter-skelter, was coming. And only he, through murder and chaos, could start it. Among his followers were mostly young women: Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, Linda Kasabian, and most notably, Charles "Tex" Watson, a crucial figure in the crimes to come. They lived together, traveled in stolen cars, dropped acid, and worshipped Manson like a deity. Their home base became Spahn Ranch, a dusty, abandoned set from old Western films. And from that forgotten corner of Los Angeles, Charles Manson planned to bring on the end of the world. On the night of August 8, 1969, Manson ordered Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian to go to that house where Terry lives, the former home of producer Terry Melcher, who had rejected Manson's music ambitions. But Melcher was gone. Living there now, actress Sharon Tate, pregnant with director Roman Polanski's child. Along with her friends Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, and Wojciech Frykowski. At 12:30 a.m., the Manson followers hopped the fence and descended into unimaginable violence. They shot and stabbed their way through the home. Sharon Tate was stabbed 16 times. Jay Sebring 7 times and shot once. Folger 28 times. Frykowski 51. Blood everywhere. Life extinguished. And the night was just beginning. The following evening, Manson led another murder mission, this time choosing random victims: grocery store owner Lino LaBianca and his wife, Rosemary. The message was the same: chaos. Scrawled on walls in blood were the words "Rise," "Death to Pigs," and "Helter Skelter." The LAPD was baffled. These crimes seemed too random, too savage, too theatrical. Until one woman spoke. Susan Atkins had been arrested shortly after, but not for the murders, rather for an unrelated crime. In jail, she began bragging to her cellmates about doing the Tate job. Word spread to authorities, and suddenly what seemed like chaos had a ringleader. The investigation shifted, and by late 1969, the dots connected. The Manson family was exposed. Charles Manson never personally killed any of the victims. But under U.S. law, you don't need to hold the knife to be guilty of murder if you order it, orchestrate it, or instill it. In 1971, Manson, Watson, Atkins, Krenwinkel, and later Leslie Van Houten were convicted of first-degree murder. Manson used the court like a stage, laughing, carving X's into his forehead, threatening the judge. His followers shaved their heads and carved X's too. He said they acted of their own free will, that he never told anyone to kill. But the truth was far darker. Manson had weaponized vulnerability. He preyed on the broken, the idealistic, the desperate. In them, he planted fear, worship, and obedience. His philosophy wasn't just about control. It was about identity, purpose, promising a new world in exchange for total devotion. What made Charles Manson so dangerous wasn't physical violence. It was psychological mastery. He used techniques familiar in cult dynamics: isolation, fear, love bombing, identity erasure. He convinced his followers that murder was not only justified, but necessary. Experts later labeled him a sociopath with strong narcissistic traits, a manipulator who craved power over reality itself. The family members weren't psychopaths. They were young, often abused, often drugged individuals who believed they were carrying out a higher form of justice. That's what makes Manson truly terrifying. He wasn't a lone wolf. He was a conductor, and the music was murder. Charles Manson died in prison in 2017 at age 83. He never expressed remorse. Several family members are still serving life sentences. Some, like Leslie Van Houten, are now old women, calm, soft-spoken, forever linked to a scream-filled summer of blood and madness. The home at 10,050 Cielo Drive no longer exists, but the name Manson still resonates with something primal, a fear that anyone, given the right message, can be turned into a weapon. Because in the end, Charles Manson wasn't just a murderer. He was proof of something darker. Monsters don't always hide in shadows. Sometimes they smile. They offer peace. And by the time you realize who they truly are, it's already too late.